well-balanced mind is about really understanding your mind. Understanding your emotions, understanding everything about human behavior and how it can help you create a healthier and happier lifestyle. Everything starts with the mind, and what the mind affects can be changed.
All right, everyone, it is once again that time. It is Friday, March 12th, and we're excited to have you joining us. Maria Ferrante is our special guest. We're excited to check in with her. Also, so many great topics. We're talking about the late stage pandemic and how it's messing with your brain. Angela will be talking about sneaking veggies into those meals for your kids, for your family. Jim will be talking about supplements and vitamins and how they work into your daily habits and weekly routines. And finally, Maria will be talking about benefits of increasing everyday activities to improve our health and fitness, all that and more on today's episode. Thanks for joining us. Let's get started.
Welcome to your Healthy by Association Weekly Wellness Check with Aaron Walloway, Angela Pelk, and Jim Thompson.
All right, welcome to Healthy by Association. My name is Aaron Walloway. It is Friday, March 12th, and we're so excited to have you on the show today. If you're joining us live, please check in on Facebook. We would love to know who's joining us and how you're doing this week. But we have so much to talk about today, and we have a full house. It's exciting to see a full panel today. We want to start with our special guest, Maria. So, Maria, we're going to come to you first. Please give us a little introduction about yourself and kind of what brings you to the health and wellness community.
Sure. I'm Maria Ferrante. I work with PMMI, the Association for Packaging and Processing Technologies. I work in marketing there. In terms of health and wellness, I've been on my own personal journey for a couple of years. I've lost quite a bit of weight, 138 pounds, and have just really been on an amazing journey. And part of that, I've decided to become a health coach to kind of give back and help others kind of achieve that kind of success. So it's been quite, very fulfilling for me to be able to help others. And, personally, health and wellness has become a passion.
That's awesome. Well, thanks so much for joining us this week. We are grateful to see you again and to learn and to benefit from all of your knowledge and wisdom and experience. It's also great to see some of our familiar faces as well. Jim, what is going on? Tell us how you're doing this week.
Doing pretty good. Just I'm enjoying the fact that it's actually really nice here. The weather has been fantastic, so it's been great to be able to get outside and just get out and walk some. I actually got out and did a ruck this past Sunday. So we've talked about that before on our HBA calls. So did a nice 4-mile ruck on Sunday. So that was nice. Doing pretty good. Just glad it's starting to get spring. I'm spring fever is starting to hit.
So I'm going to turn to you, Angela, in just a moment. But for our viewers who maybe don't know what a ruck is, maybe you can just give us a short snippet on, I hear you say ruck, I hear yuck. You tell us what it's all
about. Well, see if I can convert you into a not yuck. So a ruck is basically you get a group of people, or you can do it by yourself, but it's obviously fun with a group of folks. But essentially, you grab a backpack, get some water, get some snacks, whatever, and you typically go from anywhere from a 4 mile to, I've seen people do this. I've done as much as a 12-mile ruck. But the idea is that you put weight in your backpack. So essentially, you put all your goods in there, but then you also add an additional weight. So, like for example, depending on what your weight is, if you weigh over 150 pounds, the goal is to put at least 20 pounds extra weight in your backpack to carry with you. So, and some people even go as far as doing exercises along the way when you're doing a ruck. But yeah, so it's just a great excuse to get out and put a little more weight on your back and kind of build up your strength and endurance. So.
Potato. We'll just leave it at that for now. Angela, it's lovely to see your face. It's lovely always to see your background and the things that you've painted back there. How are you doing this week?
Just like Jim said, the weather has been beautiful here in Michigan. It finally feels like spring. One of my walks this week in the morning aligned with like a 60-degree morning at 6:30 a.m. So It was nice to go out unencumbered, without a jacket, without mittens. I don't even think I wore a hat. I wore kind of like 3/4 sleeve t-shirt and leggings, and oh my gosh, it just felt beautiful. Like Wednesday night, it was like balmy. I'm like, it feels like Florida. Like it just felt so nice. And to just finally have that weather here in Michigan has been great. The sun is out today. So it's awesome.
Well, perfect sort of correlation with our first topic. I posted earlier this week an article from the Atlantic. I have the pages printed out and I have some things highlighted, and so I'm going to be sharing a couple of things with you all, and then I want to check in and see how you all are feeling about kind of what I'm sharing. I will post this later in the show notes, but for those that have been following along in the Healthy by Association community, you can also see the links there now as well. So the title is Late Stage Pandemic is Messing with Your Brain. We have been doing this so long, we're forgetting how to be normal. So just a couple of things that I want to highlight here. The article really starts about, I can't stop noticing all the things that I'm forgetting. I've started keeping a list of questions, remnants of a past life, that I now need a beat or two to remember. What time do parties end? How tall is my boss? What does a bar smell like? Are babies heavy? Does my dentist have a mustache? On what street was the good sandwich place near work? The one that toasted its bread. And there are a number of other questions here as well. It goes on to say, everywhere I turn, the fog of forgetting has crept in. A friend of mine recently confessed that the morning routine he'd comfortably maintained for a decade, wake up before 7, shower, dress, get on the subway, now feels unimaginable. Unimaginable. On a literal level, he cannot put himself back there. I said that actually recently to a friend and said, if I actually have to get up into an office, like I'm going to have to set my alarm for an hour earlier than what I'm doing right now and have to relearn my whole morning routine. Because that involves making a lunch and all of these things, actually getting out the door, driving to an office, remembering what traffic is like, right? It goes on to say, this one person, Rachel, said she used to have a standing Friday night dinner with her neighbors and went completely blank when one of them recently mentioned it. It was shocking. It was something that I really loved and had done for a long time, and I completely forgot that I used to do that thing or that I really liked that thing. The fog of the pandemic is brutal, and particularly this late stage fog. Humans, and it goes on to say, humans forget a great deal of what happens to us, and we tend to do it pretty quickly after the first 24 hours or so. Our brains are very good at learning different things and forgetting the things that are not a priority. And think about how many things have become not a priority in the last year as we sort of cross the threshold of 1 year, whether it's work from home, stay at home, quarantine, bubbles, all the things that we know we've been operating in. So just the last couple, I realize I've highlighted more things than I should talk about, but there were just a couple of last things that I wanted to say. First, we're all walking around with some sort of mild cognitive impairment as a result of the pandemic and sort of the abrupt shift and change in our habits and what we've been doing. And based on everything we know about the brain, 2 things that are really good for it are physical activity and novelty. Physical activity and novelty. A thing that's very bad for it is chronic and perpetual stress. And living through a pandemic is causing us stress. So I'm just kind of curious, your initial reactions to that. You certainly, there's a lot more in the article, but I'm just kind of curious, any initial reactions or any thing that you're surprised or not surprised about. For me, I'm not surprised that physical activity is a way to overcome this. It is just a good reminder that is that. Angela, I'm kind of curious. I'll come to you next. Any sort of initial reactions or thoughts about the piece?
I know, like in the beginning when we were first starting to hear about this, like I was very conscious of like, okay, here's what I can control. Like I can control my environment, my home. I can make sure things are clean and tidy and organized. And I've really just been kind of doing that kind of thing because this is where I'm spending all of my time. And as I don't know, are we in late stage though? That's one of my big questions is this the late stage? It feels like things are changing in a positive direction, but I don't know how late this late stage might be. Maybe that's just me being like super pessimistic about it. But anyway, I don't know. I don't know. That's sticking out to me for sure.
Maria, I'm curious, what stands out to you, or did you have any sort of thoughts or reflections as I sort of talked through some of that piece?
Yeah, I mean, we've changed so much in our lives with this pandemic. I mean, like you were talking about, routines, going to work, how much we're cooking at home and we're not necessarily going out. Yeah, so it definitely puts you in a different mindset. But then there's also some really positives when you kind of focus on you and you can do some things for yourself that maybe you wouldn't have done, prior to the pandemic. So, it is a challenge, and I think it's going to be a challenge as we kind of move out of this, and see what happens, see what goes back to normal and what kind of stays the way it is. It'll be different, interesting.
I leaned out of frame very ceremoniously because there was one last thing that kind of like was clinging on for me, and that's that prolonged boredom is somewhat paradoxically stressful, hugely stressful. And I found that to be like an interesting like thought as well, that sometimes we couch things under self-care or taking time for ourselves or whatever, but kind of also being aware if what we're actually doing is being bored, and thinking about how to your point, Maria, like find things to replace that boredom with productivity, either for ourselves and self-care or for our families, or for those with which we engage within our network or within our community or within our family unit. And so thinking about, I don't know, I feel like this time last year I was saying like, we're working on the outdoor space, and like legit, that's what we did this last week, is we created just a long list of more things that we need to do outside in order to make our space, livable and enjoyable over the course of the next several months, particularly as myself and my husband I don't anticipate we're going to be able to be vaccinated very soon. I think that it will certainly happen this year, but I think that's still a couple of months down the road, and so we're thinking about how to make our outdoor spaces livable, enjoyable, and something that fills our time, I think. Jim, I'll come to you just to see if there's anything else that you want to weigh in terms of this topic, and how maybe you've connected with this idea of the late pandemic maybe affecting our brains.
Sure. Well, I mean, I think one of the things that sort of struck me in the article, and I thought it was like I felt like it was a great analogy of that it's like you feel like we're walking through a tar pit, something like while we've been going through this. I mean, it just feels like just sluggishly dragging through this, like it's never going to change, and I think that's sort of the I think that's what's mentally is sort of like, I think, weighed on me and probably many other people too, is the fact that we just don't feel like when are we ever going to get out of this, or will we ever get out of this? Angela, you kind of hinted to that, like that sort of uncertainty of these things. And I think that's probably what has weighed on me so much, is just the uncertainty of, when are we ever going to get back to a type of normal in any way?
Well, and just kind of acknowledging the impact that that has on our mental health, right? And probably
Mhm.
intentionally seeking out other ways to fill that niche or that need, so that we can maintain good mental health into the next 6, 9 months and certainly through the end of this year. All right, so lots of food for thought. If you are watching the recording of this episode or certainly live, please share with us any key takeaways that particularly resonated with you. We're going to change topics quickly here to food because, look, as we were preparing our show today and as we were chatting as a panel, we were talking a lot about food, and it seems to be on everyone's mind. And we haven't talked about food on the show in a while. So, Angela, you have been being sneaky, sneaking vegetables into some of the food you're preparing for your husband, for your son, and we'd just love to know more about how you're doing that successfully.
Yeah, I just, veggies are super important. And whenever anybody says like, oh, I'm kind of stuck, or I feel like I've been eating like garbage, like what can I do? And one of the things I always say is add more veggies.
Mhm.
They're good for you. They're full of vitamins, full of the power of the sun. And there's some really easy ways to do that. I also suggest pound some water and get some more protein in your life. But I think veggies are super big key to that too. Um, and we were talking earlier on the show. I had snuck into someone's freezer a while back, and I saw that they had like a bag of like spinach greens, it just in the freezer. I'm like, okay. So I got some, and they freeze really well. And you can grab a handful of that frozen stuff and throw it in a smoothie or throw it in some soup. I made some lentil soup last week, and I threw a big old handful, like a cup full of spinach. And it's just one more way to get like those extra green veggies into your life. And that stuff kind of goes bad quickly, and sometimes you find a good sale on it, and it's nice to just shove it right in the freezer. I buy 2 or 3 at a time, and it's an easy way to get some veggies in.
Mhm.
Maria, I feel like if any one on this panel is good at sneaking veggies into food and into meals and into diet, I feel like it's probably you. So I'm just kind of curious if you have any tips or tricks that you'd like to share as well.
Oh, yeah. I mean, veggies are hugely important. And yeah, I do all kinds of things to kind of sneak it in. I make cauliflower crust pizza so that you can have, enjoy the pizza and you're getting that cauliflower in there. Much like, Angela was saying, just sneaking it in, grating carrots into like tomato sauce or all kinds of ways to kind of get veggies in. And it's so important. So, yeah.
I don't know if folks if folks caught the thing that I had posted last weekend. I think it was an image of a brownie, and I said something. It said something like the meme said something along. It's like I made an omelet and I seasoned it with like chocolate and flour and blah blah whatever. And so sometimes you have to sneak chocolate into your diet too. I guess maybe I don't
That's
know.
right. That's right.
Jim, I'm going to come to you. So twofold here. Certainly, if there's anything veggie wise that you all do in your family to sneak that into your family's diet, would love to hear. But also, I know you want to talk to us a little bit about vitamins. I don't know how I was going to pronounce that. Vitamins and
Vitamins.
supplements. How we're right, vitamins. How we're the right. This is the Down Under show, right?
Right, right.
How are you?
Hey,
How
Robert.
are you sneaking vitamins in, or how are you adding supplements to your diet in addition to veggies?
Yeah, sure. So just to piggyback on the other conversation, but yeah, I have a daughter who despises vegetables. I mean, seriously, I think she's one of those kids that could be from the Midwest that only did the meat and potatoes kind of thing growing up or something. She just cannot stand them. But so I've definitely had to learn to. And Marie, you mentioned the cauliflower thing. I do this cauliflower rice. Do the rice cauliflower and make a fried rice
Mhm.
that she absolutely adores. But so yeah, trying to figure out ways to sneak vegetables in with the kids is always a challenge because I love them. I love any kind of vegetable. So, but when you think about vegetables and things like that, one of the things it always leads to is vitamins and getting those essential nutrients and things like that. And oftentimes, sometimes we're not doing as good of a job as we think we should. And just recently, somebody had posted about how, on one of the Facebook communities I'm in, um, they were preparing their vitamins for the week and kind of detailing out everything they were supposed to be taking. And it sort of made me think about, that too, because one time, I guess it was in the fall of last year, I'd gone to the doctor and, they did the week, the wellness checkup, whatever. And one of the things that came back was that he was like, your body is actually lacking in vitamin D. You may need to actually start thinking about taking some vitamins, and thinking about other supplements to in addition to maybe what you're already doing with your health. And I guess that's something I think, sometimes I don't think about too much, is that idea that, there are certain vitamins that are crucial to be taking. And vitamin D is obviously one of those things. Magnesium, calcium, zinc, iron, folate. I mean, vitamin B12. So there's some real key vitamins that we should be taking in and making sure that we're doing that. And whether it's looking for a multivitamin, or it's trying to find those pieces that maybe you're missing in your daily diet. But it's something to really be thinking about. And I think when you go in for a wellness checkup or wellness visit, it's something to definitely talk with your doctor about and find out, are there certain things that maybe you're missing that, you should be taking? And sometimes the answer is not necessarily just take one of everything. You may need to really find out what are some of those things that you might be missing out on.
Well, and I think part of that is really about creating the habit around it. I think I shared in our pre-show that, I've taken a multivitamin, I've stopped taking it, and it's just about really getting into a habit. And one of the things the pandemic has allowed me to do is to create better habits around things like supplements and vitamins, because I'm not traveling all the time. I don't have to think about like converting something from a large bottle into a smaller bottle, or something that I travel with or whatever.
Right,
And so
right.
I found that I've been able to get back into that habit. But I love your sort of suggestion around having that conversation with your doctor, and then sort of, then step two, really creating that healthy habit around it. And whether it's just part of your daily getting ready routine, or whether you have sort of the pill bottles like, laid out, or whatever system that you find, I think, works for you. You just need to find something that you'll actually stick with. I'm curious, Maria, because I know a little bit about your health and wellness journey. I'm curious if there's anything in particular that you found you needed to supplement your diet with as a result of kind of your changed eating habits.
Not really specifically. I did, I have worked with my doctor and made sure that I'm getting what I need. I do take a multivitamin every day. I think the most important thing is really figuring out what you do need, making sure, you talk to your doctor. And then I think we touched on this a little bit, is developing those habits, healthy habits, whether you do it in the morning or whether it's better to take it in the evening. Certain vitamins you don't want to take too close to bedtime, like the B vitamins could keep you up. And so all of that is really important to kind of figuring out what works for you. So other than just, eating really healthy and taking a multivitamin, I haven't had to do too much additional supplementation, but it is important to check with your doctor to find out what
Yeah,
you need in particular. Yeah.
that's great. All right, so as we pivot to our final topic, and as time begins to wind down, you brought to us, we love in the association community acronyms. And when you posted this acronym, NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis, I was like, I need to know more. I want to know more. I want to know how to sort of take advantage. So I'm always curious by an acronym. So maybe you'll tell us a little bit more about what you mean by that, and how maybe we can leverage that concept within our own health and wellness routines.
Absolutely. One of the main things that I coach is healthy habits, and, developing small, attainable habits that you can install for your life. The idea is that if you change your mindset and you change your habits, then you can kind of transform, and your transformation can be lifelong, not just a temporary thing. So often we focus on exercise, but we don't always focus on physical activity. And they both have important roles in health and wellness. Physical activity can be integrated into your daily life in a much more organic and complete manner, whereas exercise is, like a time bound, you do a couple hours every week or whatever you decide to do. So they both have a really important role. But NEAT, as you said, non-exercise activity thermogenesis, big words, but it's really a simple concept. It consists of movements that we make throughout our daily life. So like doing work, chores, silly little motions like tapping our foot when we're sitting down at the computer or walking. We make small, daily choices that can set the stage for weight management, for good heart health, and really, build us up to, if you're not there yet, to doing more exercise. We often sit, somewhere between 9 and 15 hours a day, and that sedentary lifestyle causes cardiovascular disease and things like that. So it's just really important. When I was going through my health journey, it was hard for me to do exercise. So incorporating walking my dog and raking the leaves as opposed to using a leaf blower, or walking up and down the stairs multiple times, parking further away from the door, all of those little things, you can actually burn more calories doing that than you can sometimes working at the gym. When I track it on my Apple Watch, I can burn somewhere between 800 to 900 calories just doing NEAT activities, whereas maybe like a HIIT class or something at the gym, you might only burn, say, 500 calories. So it's a really important thing to incorporate into your daily life, no matter what level of exercise you're doing right now. So that's
Jim,
pretty
I
much
heard
what
a lot of. Jim, thank you for sharing that with us. And Jim, I heard a lot of underneath the Maria there. And I'm just kind of curious what your initial thoughts or reactions to that concept.
Well, I think it just goes back to the idea that, really it's having an active lifestyle in general. Like you said, I mean, I think about some of the simple things that, we all can do, like, again, walking, taking the stairs more often than going the elevator, parking further away from the grocery store. I mean, there's just so many little activities that you can do in your daily life that don't necessarily always have to be exercise based. And I love that concept. I mean, because I think it makes an active lifestyle become more of a fabric of your daily life, as opposed to just focusing on a 30-minute exercise routine 4 days a week or whatever the case is. If you really incorporate those little things here and there, they really do add up.
Yeah, I had a reflection this week that wasn't great. I've been having a really hard time. I have an Apple Watch, and legitimately this week I've had a really hard time hitting 12 stand goals over the course of a day. There's so many Zoom calls. I'm sitting in front of my computer so often, I almost don't feel it anymore when it tells me to get up. And it's so different from kind of when we're out and about, when we're working in an office, or when we are offsite at events, and when we're traveling, when, it's no surprise to get 15, 16, 17, 18 stand goals in the course of a day. And so I don't know, I've been thinking about that a lot lately, and just kind of how to be a little bit more intentional about movement during the day. We walk every day at lunch for just 10, 15 minutes, and then, we do other exercise after the workday is done. But just thinking about how to sneak them in a little bit more throughout the workday is certainly top of mind for me. Maria, as our time winds down, I'm just curious if folks want to get in touch with you, talk more about NEAT, more about your coaching work, more about your health and wellness journey. What is the best way for them to get in touch with you?
They can email me. It's Maria A. Ferrante at gmail.com. I'm also on Facebook, Maria Ferrante Health Coach. So that's either of those ways. There's lots of, I'm on Twitter as well. So M.A. Ferrante is my handle there. So love to talk to folks.
Awesome.
More.
Well, thank you. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us, Maria, this week. We so appreciate your knowledge, your insights, your experience. Jim and Angela, as always, it is a great pleasure to see you every week and to learn and benefit from your knowledge and experience as well. Just a couple of things. Next week, our special guests will be Andrea Holovach. So please check in with us then when she will be our special guest. Also, we are always looking for blog writers. If you are interested in health and wellness, wellness writing of any kind. We're interested in your stories. We're interested in your posts, your suggestions, your resources for our greater community. So if you're interested, please reach out to us and we will get you on deck for a future blog posting. In the meantime, this has been Healthy by Association. And until next time, please remember to power your life with health, wellness, and intention. See you next week, everyone.